Once upon a time, in a bustling restaurant, 4 siblings, Pole, Nina, Zoe and Hauv, found themselves in the middle of a culinary misadventure. The siblings, known for their playful banter and shared love for good food, were served by the ever-so-clumsy waitress, Miss Belle Pum. In a hilarious mix-up, Miss Belle Pum mistakenly served Pole a plate of snails. Not one to pass up a jest, Pole sneakily swapped the snails with Hauv's dish. When Hauv returned to the table, she was aghast. Amid this chaos, Zoe, the peacekeeper of the group, decided to lighten the mood. She presented an exquisite cake, as if she had just laid it like an egg. It was a cake like no other, an English rose cake. Its enchanting aroma and unique taste captivated everyone, turning their culinary misadventure into a delightful memory. This is the story behind the cake we're about to bake today. Gather around, folks. Let's recreate this enchanting English rose cake, and who knows, maybe you'll end up making memories of your own. Ever heard of an English rose cake? If not, then you're in for a delightful surprise. Originating from the heart of England, this cake is a melange of sweet floral flavours, reminiscent of a blooming English rose garden. Its unique taste comes from the key ingredient, rose water, which gives it an enchanting aroma and a subtle floral taste. For our cake, we'll need softened butter, golden caster sugar, large eggs, full-fat natural yogurt, plain flour, baking powder, vanilla extract, and of course rose water. For the rose syrup, icing and cream, we'll need golden caster sugar, rose water, defrosted raspberries, icing sugar, vanilla extract, double cream, and to top it all, rose petal pieces and crystallized rose petals for decoration. Gather these ingredients, and you're all set to embark on a culinary journey straight to an English rose garden. Got everything? Excellent! Now, on to the exciting part, baking this fragrant floral cake. Before we dive into the baking process, let's take a detour to a quaint little school housed in a barn. A place where learning is as fun as it is chaotic, thanks to our 3 young protagonists, Hauv, Zoe and Noodles. Mrs. Murphy, their patient yet often exasperated teacher, has a knack for ending up in hilarious predicaments, courtesy of her students' playful antics. On one such occasion, she lost her class at the museum, leading to a frantic phone call with Pole, a friend who suggested the lost students might be in a taxi. The thought itself was enough to send Mrs. Murphy into a tizzy, only to spot Pole in a taxi moments later. Just when she thought her day couldn't get any more bizarre, she saw Miss Belle Pum, a fellow teacher, running down the street with toilet paper trailing behind her and a rather unfortunate bathroom mishap staining her clothes. Amidst all the chaos and laughter, the class found their way back to the school barn, ready to learn and create more mischief. But today, they were in for a special treat. Mrs. Murphy had planned a culinary lesson, and the dish of the day was none other than the English rose cake. But oh dear, it seems some of the ingredients are missing. The butter, sugar, eggs, gone. Could this be another prank from our mischievous trio? Well, it's time to find out. Let's join the class as they scramble to gather the ingredients for their cake, turning their culinary lesson into a hilarious treasure hunt. Start by preheating your oven to 160°C/140°C fan gas 3. Prepare your cake tins by greasing and lining them. The foundation of our English rose cake begins here. Now, let's bring together all the ingredients for the cake in a large bowl. We're talking softened butter, golden caster sugar, large eggs, full-fat natural yogurt, plain flour, baking powder and the stars of our show, vanilla extract and rose water. This combination brings an aromatic floral note that's distinct yet subtle, making our cake truly unique. Beat these ingredients with an electric whisk until well combined. A word of caution here, consistency is key. We're looking for a smooth, well-blended mixture that's ready to rise and shine in the oven. Next, we're going to divide the mixture into the 3 prepared cake tins. This is where your inner perfectionist comes into play. We want to ensure the mixture is evenly distributed for a uniform bake. Smooth the tops for that flawless finish we all adore. Bake these for 45 minutes, swapping the tins halfway through so they cook evenly. Patience is a virtue in baking. It's all about giving the cake the time it needs to transform into a fluffy delight. After baking, let it cool for 10 minutes in the tins, then remove and transfer to a wire rack to cool completely. Cooling is an essential step. It helps the cake firm up and makes it easier to handle. Now, while our cakes are cooling, it's time to prepare the rose syrup. Making rose syrup is a cinch. You just need sugar, water, and rose water. Start by placing your golden caster sugar in a pan with a bit of water. Heat this mixture until the sugar has completely dissolved. Now, it's time to crank up the heat. Let it bubble for a minute or two, and then remove the pan from the heat. This is where the magic happens. Add your rose water. Begin with a teaspoon and give it a taste. Some varieties of rose water can be quite potent, so adjust according to your preference. But be careful, the syrup will be quite hot. Once you've got the taste just right, spoon half of this aromatic syrup over your sponge cakes. They'll absorb it, becoming even more moist and flavorful. And don't worry about the remaining syrup. We'll be using it in just a bit. There we have it, aromatic rose syrup. Now let's proceed to the icing and cream. While we're in the process of crafting our English rose cake, let's take a brief side trip to How's place. Miss Belle Pum was spotted in How's place, busy making pancakes. Onlookers observed her dashing around the house, her fairy pants hilariously letting out a series of farts. Out of nowhere, a little ant strolled into the house, setting off a catastrophic domino effect. The ant made its way under the overstressed table, causing it to virtually collapse. Suddenly, the ground began quiver. "Oh no!" cried out How as Zoe started to feel nauseous. Without warning, Zoe heaved out the window. The ant, persistent as ever, continued to climb the counter. Howver quickly escorted Zoe to the bathroom beneath the stairs. "You see, Howv is the one with the sense around here." Miss Belle Pum was oblivious to the fact that Zoe was missing, and Tommy's potty was smack dab in the middle of the floor. The ant, in a turn of events, climbed up his bottom and went in. Miss Belle Pum was in the process of creating a chocolate version of the pancakes. She had left some melted chocolate next to the potty while preparing a regular batch. Poor little Tommy, unable to hold it in any longer, climbed onto the table. Zoe was belting out "Zoe like the colour green, Zoe like da colour green," amusingly. Distracted Miss Belle Pum encouraged her, saying, "Sing your farts away, little Zoe." Once Tommy was done, he climbed down. In a catastrophic mix-up, Miss Belle Pum accidentally added the feces from the potty to the pancakes. What a calamity. When Howv returned, she was the first one to be served a pancake. She was presented with a chocolate pancake. Based on the subsequent sounds of retching, you can probably guess what happened. Next, we're going to make the icing and cream, and then assemble our cake. The first thing we'll do is create our raspberry icing. Add 2 tablespoons of rose syrup to your raspberries and crush them with a fork. Push this mixture through a sieve into a bowl, discarding the seeds. Sift in the icing sugar and mix until you have a smooth, vibrant icing. While the icing sets, we'll whip up our cream. In a separate bowl, combine another 2 tablespoons of syrup with the vanilla and cream. Whisk this until it holds soft peaks. Remember, we want our cream to be fluffy and light, not stiff. Once you've achieved the right consistency, pop your cream in the fridge to chill. This will help it hold its shape when we start assembling. Now, to the fun part, assembly. Begin by placing 1 cake, flat side up, on a plate or cake stand. Spread half of your chilled cream on top, followed by a third of your remaining raspberries. Sandwich another cake layer on top, and repeat the process with the rest of your cream and another third of the raspberries. Finally, place your last cake layer on top. The finishing touch. Smooth your raspberry icing over the top of the cake, letting it drizzle down the sides for a rustic homemade look. To decorate, use a mixture of rose petal pieces, crystallized rose petals, and the reserved raspberries. There you have it. A beautiful English rose cake to impress your friends and family. So that's how you make an English rose cake. Simple, isn't it? From stirring up the batter to baking, whipping up rose syrup, icing, cream, and finally assembling a masterpiece. Thanks for watching. Try this recipe at home and tell us how it goes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more delicious recipes. Until next time, let's take a step back to the unforgettable night our dear Miss Belle Pum invited everyone around for a dinner party. The house was alive with activity, and the air was filled with the scent of mouth-watering delicacies in the making. The crew, Howv, Noodles, Pole, Zoe, and their teacher Mrs. Murphy, were there, anxiously anticipating the feast. But as with any gathering, there were bound to be a few hiccups. The first casualty was poor little Molly, who had the unfortunate experience of downing half a litre of sour milk before realising it wasn't just a peculiar flavour. In her shock, she ended up getting sick right into her cup. In middle of the soup preparation, Miss Belle Pum, having no knowledge of the incident, unknowingly heated up the contaminated cup, causing an eruption of sick all over the walls and windows. Once the mess was cleaned up, it was time for something spicy. But the spice round was a disaster, when Mrs. Murphy, the spice lover, was mistakenly a Carolina Reaper, the world's hottest pepper. As a result, she was seen running around the house with flames and smoke coming out of her backside. After the chocolate biscuit cake recipe, it was time for dessert. Unfortunately, Ms. Belle Pum made a grievous error and used gravy instead of caramel on the sticky toffee pudding, causing one man to vomit into the gutter. Then it was time for some fun. Ms. Belle Pum transformed the garden into a game show set. Her laughter echoed as she galloped up the garden, her excitement rising at the sight of her favourite white wine. But as Miss Belle Pum was tying her shoelaces, she placed the open bottle of wine on the ground. The dog, Husks, casually strolled by and took the opportunity to relieve himself into the bottle. Miss Belle Pum picked up the bottle a few minutes later, took a sip and exclaimed, "Salty!" Despite chaos, it was an evening that was full of laughter, unforgettable moments, and a sweet ending with the star of the night, our English rose cake recipe. So if you're up for some culinary adventure and a hearty laugh, this recipe is worth a try. And remember, the best recipes are those made with love and shared with laughter. Now that we've had our fair share of laughs and mishaps, let's take a moment to sweeten the deal. As a bonus, I'm going to share with you a quick and easy recipe for a chocolate biscuit cake. Yes, you heard it right. You'll need 200 g of digestive biscuits, 150 g of dark chocolate, 100 g of unsalted butter, and 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. Start by breaking the biscuits into small pieces. Then, in a saucepan, melt the butter, chocolate, and golden syrup together. Once it's all melted and gooey, mix this chocolatey delight with the biscuit pieces. Transfer this mixture into a lined cake tin and let it chill in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours. Once it's set, cut it into slices or squares to serve. And voila! Your delicious and easy chocolate biscuit cake is ready to be devoured. Enjoy this bonus treat and remember, the kitchen is a place for fun, laughter, and love. Until next time, happy cooking!